It's snowing. We got that winter vibe here tonight. What I wanted to talk about today was actually more on the level of authenticity, realness, and the honesty. But one of the main things that I want to point out about the honesty is it's not just honesty that you have with each other. A lot of it has to be the honesty with yourself. And that comes down to insecurity. A lot of people these days want to talk about insecurity when it comes to social media, posting on Instagram, for example. That's a big one. Obviously, a lot of people will post on there. They'll take a lot of harsh judgment. But that harsh judgment is also something that they kind of place on themselves with the idea that they put in their mind of what perfection might be. Now, you might think that that's something to blame social media about, right? That's the first thing that you're going to kind of point out and you're going to kind of decipher is, social media is causing all these kids to have this idea and this view. I mean, the world is always changing, right? Whether it's social media now, something else that was in the past, those insecurities have always been there. It's not just something that's kind of came out of nowhere. Insecurity has always been a fucking thing. The problem lies within you. Ideally, in a perfect world, we would all want to kind of be at peace with our feelings and what we think of ourselves, right? But a lot of the time, we're actually way more harsh on ourselves, which is quite obvious. Way more harsh than we ever fucking need to be. We don't need to be this harsh. We hear one thing, like, let's say you put up a Facebook status or something, right? And it could be about whatever, whether it's controversial or otherwise. People post below. A lot of good comments might give you some good vibes, right? But the second that you see someone disagree with you or giving you sort of a bad vibe, it just kind of fucking sinks you. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. A lot of people sink deeper into that hole just because of one thing somebody said that can ruin somebody's whole day. And even further than that, if someone wants to engage with that person and engage with it being some sort of a personal attack on them, say they're like a friend or a friend of a friend, just depending on how close that person is with that other person, it could definitely throw things off and create this invisible wall where you don't want to associate with that person much, or that one time they said this, right? But I just think that the judgment from those other people, to come at it from a different angle would be more appropriate. People are always going to be on your ass about things, whether they tell it to your face or not, right? They're always going to be saying things. You're always going to focus on the judgment of what other people are giving you, and you never give yourself enough credit for, right? The more you can have thicker skin with something is nothing but better. You're going to have thicker skin towards harsh criticism and judgment from others, while still with a voice in the back of your mind kind of listening to something positive there might be woven in there, you know what I mean? There might be some lesson to be learned, but only if it's something critical from your friends, from someone that you care about, friends or family or relationship, whatever it is. But if it's coming from some sort of outside source or some invisible kind of idea that you put in your head that, I'm not good enough because so-and-so said this, or, look at that girl. It becomes a lot. And with women, it's a big thing too, majorly with beauty and how they look. They're gonna easily be comparing themselves to other people, right? They're going to be looking at, doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter. This also includes like some of the top Instagram models or what have you, having someone even in that caliber, right? When you kind of go up a notch and up a notch and up a notch, you become paralyzed to this thinking of picking out the flaws from yourself, right? So someone down here is in a realm of, let's say some average person has their flaws and has their issues and stuff like that too. Within that spectrum, they're still getting that harsh judgment and that hard time in trying not to let what people say bother them. Even if someone is in a higher tier, quote unquote, of beauty and this whole other level of standard, it's like, I worked really hard, I went to the gym, I tried to do all these things, and I just spent all this time putting all my energy and effort into this, and the next thing you know, you're criticizing yourself because you have a mole or a birthmark on the side of your ankle or something like that, right? At some point, it'll trickle down and you'll always find something to pick on unless you fucking simply understand. Try to have thicker skin. Let go of what is happening, right? Of what is happening in terms of what you're feeding into your head about yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, the fucking harsh criticism that you give yourself is never accurate. You know? It's almost over the top. And that recycles simply because in your thoughts, with the thought process, if that is the main entity of your thought loop, it is going to replay over and over again. And you're going to create this story and this narrative in your mind where that is the reality of the situation when it is simply not. So in regards to that, I mean, it's first and foremost about being kinder to yourself, but also letting go of that fucking judgment from other people. People say this all the time, but it's the actual process of doing it and not thinking or worrying, you know, about what that person has to say. And if they are close to you and friends or family, and they are trying to make a relatively good point, then they should never be, then the people who are actually there to help you with proper criticism should never be ever hurling insults at you or finding a way to put you down, right? They should be articulating things to you in a way where, hey, maybe this might work. Hey, I noticed that your drinking has been a little bit too much lately. Maybe you got to tone that down. Or I noticed that whatever the frickin' case is when it comes to the topic at hand. But once you can conquer and take it slowly, right? It doesn't have to be it's never going to be fucking quick in fixing these things. You take it slowly, you take it as a step-by-step process, right? In learning how to handle those things with thicker skin and letting go of any of that shit that you're funneling in your head, right? Once you get your head into a positive thought loop, right? And you get strong enough, it's not going to even phase you. You're not going to even want to bring that energy in. You're not going to want to create that illusion in your mind. You're going to have bad days, of course, right? Even the happiest person on earth is going to find a way to be insecure about a certain thing about themselves. But that doesn't have to be your life. That doesn't have to be your reality. The underlying principle here is about finding that happiness within the authenticity and the honesty. Like, are you honest with yourself? Of course, are you honest with others? Because if you're not honest with others, even if they don't find out, from a moral values, in terms of moral value, from that standpoint, that's going to come back to haunt you. You know what I mean? That's going to be on your conscience, right? Even if that thing were to trigger a different thing that you may not even realize that it did, you're still holding that. You're still liable for that. But the authenticity and the realness, as people will say, is definitely something that I feel is severely lacking. There are so many better ways that we can engage with those feelings instead of, I noticed I was watching a video the other day actually, where, like, why is it that when you get caught off guard doing something you like, let's say you're dancing in your car to a good song, you know what I mean? You're fucking rocking out, doing whatever you need to do, just living in the moment. You're rocking out to a good song, and your friend or someone, a family member or something, kind of sneaks up on you and catches you. Like, why is it in that instance that a lot of people are meant to just, they freeze up and stop and pretend like they act like they weren't doing anything, right? Like as if it was weird, right? And then they think, aha, I freaked you out, and haha, you got embarrassed. But the underlying principle there is like, why even get embarrassed over something like that? Why is that the natural first thing? Why is that the first thing that is triggered, right? People aren't comfortable in their own skin when they're around others because of the way in the narrative of society and how everything is kind of presented itself. But if people were to just simply each day, let's say, do something that is a little bit more prone to having that honesty and that authenticity, that's something that might scare you, so to speak. You know, they say do one thing that scares you every day, but do it in a way that is going to be authentic to you and who you are and congruent to you as a person. I think that it's something that's severely lacking, and I think that it's key that the more and more people that are just honest with each other, the more and more the world, again, will be tilted in a better direction. And if that's not something that you're gearing for, then you'd be sorry, because you'd be sorry to know that that is actually something that does have consequences, even in the slightest things that you might not realize, make your life even a little bit more negative, the way you funnel a lie or some sort of dishonesty. Even when you're doing it with yourself, you're compromising who you are. Like, for what? Like, you're on this earth for like 90 years if you're lucky, right? Like, what is the point in that? Like, one in 400 trillion is like the chances or something like that to be a human being, like to be alive. Like, shit. Like, yeah, it's snowing outside and it's melting and all that fucking funky stuff, right? Slip and slide, grab the sled, let's go down the hill. You know, all this stuff is coming down, but at the end of the day, like, if you feel cold, you feel hot, you feel that, you know what I mean? You feel it, and it feels good. It feels good if you look at it from the perspective of knowing that you're alive, right? Not everything is going to be good in life. There's going to be suffering. There's always going to be some sort of suffering. It's not a healthy thing. But the best that you can do is from what you can see, from what you can control and what you can't control, right? And I like to funnel those into two categories: an uncontrollable or controllable situation. So the first time that I'm deciphering an issue, I say to myself, is this something in life today that is controllable or uncontrollable, right? If it's controllable, I try my best to fix it. If it's uncontrollable, I let it be, and that's when the authenticity is key. Right? That's when the honesty is key. Like saying, hey, I can't do anything about this. There's no need. Freaking the fuck out. Giving myself all this extra anxiety, even if I have some already, right? Already dealing with it and that sort of thing. If you can kind of allocate all of that energy and that focus onto just kind of being you, like, not in the way they say it on TV, just be yourself. Like, what does that mean? It's so fucking simplistic. We need to explore that gray area, the deeper layer that nobody wants to go to, the scary places. Once you address those scary places and those deeper areas, those not fun to reach areas in life, you're going to have so much more of a breakthrough and be so much happier in the long run if you just let it play out. You know what I mean? If you just stay... If you want to fucking dance in your car, you want to laugh about something, you want to just feel it, don't hold back. Just let it happen. Let it go. Just fucking one gear go, like Charlie Sheen would say, right? Winning. It's ridiculous. Just find a way to not get carried away into a thought loop that's going to put you in a place of severe insecurity where you fall so deep down that you feel like you can't get back up. Because most of the time it's us doing it to ourselves. And if we stay true to who we are and what we believe in, what my beliefs are, what yours are, without fucking placing judgment on that other person, by the way, too. It's not just the judgment you're getting. It's you reevaluating yourself, saying, what is it that I might be doing, right? Maybe I'm doing something wrong, right? Once you put yourself in that place and you just open all your doors to that, so to speak, like, just keep yourself broad and public and open. There's like that that whole worry seems to dissipate after you have that, right? It's like, I got nothing to hide. It's like, when I have nothing to hide, it's like you just let it go, you let it play out, and the bad things that'll be bad will happen, and the good things that'll be good will happen as well. And if it's controllable, it is, and if it isn't, then it's not something that you should carry on with a negative thought loop in your mind. Any insecurities you are dealing with, something that has to be addressed directly without being hard on yourself. Learning how to funnel those in a positive way where you can kind of grow from it, or just, see that, hey, like, maybe if I was a little bit more real about this situation, I wouldn't feel this bad. I wouldn't be harboring all of this negative emotion and energy. Just letting go of it. Keep yourself real and authentic as best as you can be. And I'll go more into depth on what that means and how you can get there, But as a basic entry to that idea of having the thicker skin and being more authentic to yourself, so your insecurities don't hit you as much. Till we get to that point, this is just pretty much the basics. But yeah, stay real, and I will stay caveman.